Let's talk about 7 classic comedy movies. And by classic, I mean stuff that Max and I really think is funny.
It's more the things that we enjoy ourselves.
That reviewers just completely and totally hated. Max, let's start with yours. One of your favorite comedies of all time. You talk about this movie all the time.
Oh, I love this movie.
I have a hard time even looking at this movie, but I do think it's funny.
I think you got to give it another shot. The Stupids.
Yes.
This is a terrible film. This is a very bad movie that has surprisingly good art direction and is very funny in a very weird way. I've had an experience with this film. This is a movie about a family of very dumb people who take things literally, and that's really the premise of the film. It's got Tom Arnold, and it's got Christopher Lee. This is at 20% on Rotten Tomatoes. It's amazing because you watch the beginning of this movie, and I've shown this to multiple groups of friends. I was like, you got to watch this movie. Well, obviously it's stupid, but you got to watch this movie, give it a shot. And about 10 minutes in, all of my friends will look at me and be like angry at me that I'm making them watch this film, and I'm like, hang in there, keep going, because it goes from like regular stupid to like surreal postmodernist stupid. It gets incredibly, bizarrely, obtusely, insanely just unusually stupid.
And it's got Alfalfa from the Little Rascals.
Exactly, yeah. Also, shout out to this movie. The poster literally just said in giant letters, Tom Arnold is stupid.
Yeah.
So, like, I kind of love it on that basis.
This is one of those, it does that thing where it sort of treads into live-action Looney Tunes cartoon sort of territory. This movie has an abysmal 20% on Rotten Tomatoes. Critics destroyed it.
It's not a good movie, but it's still funny.
Right. And so now I know we do this all the time in the show where like critics hated Batman vs Superman. We didn't like it either. It's a bad movie, blah, blah, blah. Comedy, again, very, very, very subjective. Not a good movie, but a funny movie. Coming up next, Bassketball. Bassketball by Trey Parker and Matt Stone from South Park. Sort of,
yeah.
Has a 42% on Rotten Tomatoes. This is a movie about 2, I believe, stoned idiots who invent their own sport, which is like this weird connection of basketball and baseball, and it is one of the stupidest premises for a movie. It is the closest we've gotten to a sort of live-action South Park movie for a very long time.
I mean, they totally struck where the iron was hot. When South Park was at its peak popularity, I think the movie of South Park was still in the works at that point. They were like, we got to make a movie with these guys. They're so hot right now. And it was like, from the guys who brought you South Park, but like they didn't write it and they didn't direct it. They just are in it. Super funny movie. There's one part where you can tell that they were like, dude, can you do the Cartman voice, please? We can use it in trailers and more people will go see it.
Yeah.
And they were like, okay, fine. And there's the most ham-fisted, like shoehorned in, like Cartman voice moment, which is just, but otherwise it's a very stupid movie that has nothing to do with South Park. It doesn't even really have a similar tone.
Yeah. So once again, critically panned, not planned. I really like it. I think it's really funny. Okay, this one. Bear with me here.
Oh boy.
Before Chris Farley died, he had worked on a film called Almost Heroes, which I found out my producer, Dan Parkhurst, really loves as well. Almost Heroes is basically the telling of the Lewis and Clark story about their trip across America. It's got Eugene Levy, it's got the dude from Friends, and they basically go on a boat with a ragtag group of just disgusting characters. Directed by Michael Moore.
What?
What, the documentary?
It's directed by, okay.
I did not know that.
All right.
Okay, and so basically they are trying to travel across, they're trying to discover California, effectively, right? This is a very, very, very bad movie premise-wise. It has an 8% on Rotten Tomatoes. It is in my family, like me and my brothers, my parents, like this was one of our favorite movies of all time. My mom particularly loved this movie, and she passed away, but she has no taste for great comedies like this. This is like unbelievably dumb movie. I cannot explain enough how stupid this movie is. It literally has no plot. There's a part in the movie where they all go see prostitutes, and the prostitutes are women made of straw. It's awful. It's so much fun, and it's so great. 8% is by far the worst movie on this list, but I think the funniest.
All right, so next up, here's a movie that came out just after Superbad. Superbad is a good movie. It is a good movie, and it is a good comedy, and it succeeds at the stuff that it sets out to do, and it holds up to this day. Sex Drive is not any of those things.
No.
But it's still really fun, especially the uncut version they put out on DVD, which does something that I don't think any other movie has done. This is stupid. It's like a coming-of-age sex movie about a kid who's trying to go lose his virginity in another state or whatever, meets a girl on MySpace of all places, and it's very, very much a victim of its time. That's James Marston, Cyclops, and he's like the most offensive, homophobic, bully older brother, and he's brilliant and hilarious. The uncut version if you watch it, the directors come out and they're like, hi, we're the directors and the writers of Sex Drive. We're tired of DVDs being like, this is the uncut, unrated version. And you watch it and there's like half a second more of like a boob or like a swear word. So they went through the film and they digitally added extra nudity and fart sound effects. And then they edited in outtakes. So there's scenes where the scene is entirely normal and then the entire cast and crew will break. And they're just bloopers in the middle of the movie, and it's absolutely not a good way to watch a movie, but it's still incredibly funny.
Holy crap.
Yeah, it's weird. There's a scene where Clark Duke is, he's running through a cornfield naked, and it shows him, in the regular version, it shows him from the chest up, and he's a chubby white man, and he's running through the field, and in the middle of this uncut version, it cuts to a large, very muscular black man's penis in this film. So,
why?
Just because they added extra nudity, even if it doesn't make sense. Also, Seth Green's in it as an Amish guy.
I gotta see. That sounds awesome.
It's total sleeper, bad dumb comedy.
Coming up next, a movie I saw in theaters that I to this day will fight. That is one of the top 5 funniest movies of all time. Dirty Work. Dirty Work stars Norm Macdonald and Artie Lang. Dirty Work is the movie that Artie Lang said, if you see him and you have a copy of it on you, he will give you back the money that you spent on it. That's how embarrassed they are to work on this movie. It's about 2 down-and-out friends who basically get dumped, and to raise enough money to pay Chevy Chase, who is a bookie/doctor working on one of the characters' fathers, or both of their fathers, they create a revenge business. So people come to them and they use their tricks and tactics to get revenge on people. This doesn't go well. It's pretty much awful. It's got Shooter McGavin playing Shooter McGavin in it, the exact same character role. Another movie with prostitutes. These ones are not made of straw.
Oh boy.
It is horrible. The plot is terrible. And it is
part.
one of my favorite movies of all time. It's incredibly funny. 17% on Rotten Tomatoes. Critics despise it. That scene is so good. Next, Tommy Boy, another body cop film. 2 friends after the loss of a father Yes.
That's one of those ones where critics are just wrong. Like,
Yeah,
straight up,
straight up
that's
wrong.
just
Yeah,
wrong.
that is a great movie.
History is on this movie's side. That is a wonderful movie.
Yeah, David Spade and Chris Farley get together on a road trip to sell auto parts all over the country. Terrible pitch for a movie. That doesn't sound great, right? But it's one of those great road trip movies, and it's the kind of thing where I can't be in a car for a long time without thinking of this movie or quoting lines from this movie, singing songs from this movie. The star of this movie is the car, who gets destroyed. The doors get ripped off. A deer gets shoved in the back seat. Somebody lodges WD-40 in the front of it.
That's one of those claws.
Yeah, this is a fantastic movie.
Yeah.
And finally, Hot Rod.
Oh boy.
You knew it was coming.
Hot Rod is such a wonderfully brilliant, underrated movie. This movie came out, and I think everyone was expecting it to be like one of those SNL digital shorts that we'd seen, because it was the same guys working on it, The Lonely Island. This movie, I adore this. I've seen this backwards and forwards. The thing I really love about it is that it commits to having a cinematic style. Like, it is shot like a good movie, and it's a stupid comedy about a dude who wants to do like a big dirt bike jump.
He just wants to do stunts
to fight his stepfather.
There's a scene in this movie where Andy Samberg tumbles down a mountain on a dirt bike that lasts about 17 minutes longer than it needs to, and it's perfect. He just rolls and rolls and rolls. I don't know how they made it.
They were like, we got to do a stunt that lasts this long.
Yeah.
And they're like, show the entire thing. Also, I don't know how much this movie was improvised, but like, it's this perfect storm of like Danny McBride and Andy Samberg and Bill Hader, and they're all just like bouncing off each other. And it's incredible.
Also, I'm fully aware that Chris Farley was in 3 movies on this list. I don't care. Chris Farley rules.
Critics didn't like Chris Farley, but yeah.
He almost played Shrek. So those are 7 great comedies that critics hated that we will never stop yelling about.
Those were our favorite critically panned comedies. You can tell us in the comments how wrong we are about all of those, or you can check out some videos we did about how to make a good Duke Nukem movie, as well as a bunch of movies from 2017 that we really liked in spite of nobody seeing them. And if you want something that's really underrated, check out Up at Noon every Thursday at noon Pacific time on IGN. We think it's great, but who are we to say?